Sevan.
How you doing, bro?
Sevan, I should say. Sorry. I always get mixed up. Thank you for coming down.
Thank you for having me, bro. Appreciate it.
It's been a long time coming. I can't lie.
Yeah, couple years in the making.
Yeah, we were supposed to do something, but busy schedules.
Yes, sir.
But you know what? We're here now. So
It's good to be here, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
One of the first questions. Sevan, Sevan.
Mm-hmm.
Why the change?
I went about changing my name because it just was like I came up with Sevan when I was 12, and like, you know, it's just all related to just me being a kid and starting out.
Yeah.
And I couldn't come up with a rap name, so I was like, everybody calls me Sevan. I'm just gonna go by Sevan.
Why Sevan?
Just everyone called me that. Nobody could pronounce my name, being Sevan, right? So everyone couldn't pronounce my name, so I was just like, all right, fuck it. I'm just gonna go by Sevan. Everyone calls me that anyway. So I ended up going by that for a long time. I started in the Middle East. I started recording over there, so I started as Sevan.
In the Middle East.
Yeah, I started in Qatar. Yeah, that's when I started. Bahrain, actually.
So wait, you're not from Calgary?
Nah. I'm actually, like, to the misbelief of everybody, I'm Palestinian. I'm a little bit Armenian, and I got a little bit of Lebanese in there too.
You know what? I would never have thought.
Yeah, I know. I look albino. It's ridiculous. I look adopted.
Okay, then. So, just to ask, so basically the upbringing. Did you always live here, or?
So what happened was I started out. I lived in Calgary. I was born in Calgary.
Yeah.
Right. My parents immigrated over here when they were, young adults and everything. So, I was born here, raised here for 10 years. We moved around a lot, though. I lived in Edmonton, St. Albert. I lived in Calgary. I lived in Olds. I lived everywhere.
Yeah.
And then eventually, shit just really, really got bad. If you hear on my album, like, we were homeless for a while. We, struggling for money and things like that.
Yeah.
Dad ended up finding something. He got a job out in the Middle East. So we moved over there for 6 years. And, we just went out there for a while, and that's how it started. I ended up moving to Bahrain, and that's when I met the guy I told you about, my mentor. His name was Faraj. His rap name's Flo, so shout out to him. He's the homie.
And he got you into music?
I was already into music. I started just writing for fun and shit like that because I thought I could never be a rapper. I always wanted to do music, but I was like, I didn't believe in myself at all.
Yeah, why not?
It's just, there was like, it's just everything that was going on at the time, There was so much stuff happening with my family and everything like that, so I thought like we were struggling and things were going really bad. And I was like, okay, so there's like limited opportunities that I'm going to be having. And then when we went to the Middle East, there was like no music scene there, so I'm just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I might as well just write for fun and hopefully one day something happens. And that started when I was 12.
But you know what it is? When I look at your social media, for instance, or I listen to your music, you seem like you care about your music, So even with this new tape, the inspiration behind it, the recording process.
Yeah.
Tell me about it yourself.
The recording process started when I changed my name. So back to that, I guess.
Yeah.
So it started when I put out a project with Sevan, and I intended it to be my one and only project. I felt like the only way to wrap that whole thing up was with an album. So I wrapped it up with a little EP. It was called Not Your Contemporary, and that was my first crazy moment. It charted and everything, and things were going really well. But then after that, that's when I started to realize that I wanted to be wholly and authentically myself, because my music was already there.
Yeah.
But I was going under a persona, and I don't really agree with personas anymore, because just looking at all my favorites, Kendrick Lamar goes by his real name, J. Cole, that's an abbreviation of his name, Kanye West, all those people, they really found themselves when they went under their real names.
Yeah.
So I decided to do the same. So I changed my name to my real name, Sevan, and then I used my mother's maiden name, Mattar.
Yeah.
Original last name is Banyan, but it's too many syllables. So I changed my name, and then I was like, okay, now I can really start making music the way I've always wanted to. So I started writing the album, and I started kind of, what makes Sevan Mattar who he is. And that's kind of what the whole album's about. That's why the title's called Finding Smiles in Yesterday. It's to find happiness in what you've went through, and to find inspiration, to find greatness in it. You know what I mean? So I think that everybody can look back and find a smile in what they've been through.
Exactly. So what would you say is the growth from Not Your Contemporary to the new album?
The growth is just I mean, I wrote Not Your Contemporary between the ages of 17 and 19. And then I wrote this album between 19 and 23. So huge time.
A very, very, very long recording process as well.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm very perfectionist about my music. So, you know, I've wrote 3, 4, 5 versions of the album that y'all already heard. Like not like Finding Smiles and Yesterday. That was maybe the 5th album that I wrote in those 3, 4 years that it took me to make it.
Yeah.
I just wrote and recorded so much music, and I'm very perfectionist about it and very, very, very meticulous with what I do, because I want everything to wholeheartedly represent who I am, you know?
Okay, then. So what would you say, because obviously, to me, personally, you've been putting in the work in the city.
Thank you.
I genuinely do feel that you're in a different lane.
Thank you.
Compared to a lot of people.
Thank you, bro. That means a lot to me.
How do you find the hip-hop scene in Calgary?
I think it's growing, man. Like, I mean, when I started out, it was, you know, kind of in its infant stages, you know, and there was a lot of people that came before me. So, you know, like, shout out to Half Cut and Benny Johnson. Like, they were in a group called Humble Giants. Yeah. And they just like rock shit. Like, they were crazy, bro. They were so good. And I remember seeing them at One Love Festival when I first moved back here, when I first came back, and I'm just like, shit, this is like from our town. So I was like, this is something, like something's here. Exactly. And I realized that's when I could like chase the dream, even being here.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have such like a small town, and we have Stampede and shit. Like, it's all just redneck country shit that like this city likes to promote. They don't really give love to hip hop music. And, you know, it's predominantly like, you know, country and rock music's a predominantly white thing. And even though it was taken from black people, but they don't show the same support.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So and how can they start pushing hip hop in Calgary?
Well, first of all, they need to start replacing all the people that are like in the higher ups of, you know, like they have these boards of directors and shit and all this stuff for like music. And if you go to like the YYC Music Awards or whatever, I won an award there, but I noticed everyone in the room was white.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying? And that shit just was so weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though I look albino, I was the darkest person in my category. You know what I'm saying? In a hip-hop thing, you know what I'm saying? And, like, there was nobody there, and they were all just white dudes in suits and shit, and it was, like, really uncomfortable to be there. You know, my manager at the time, like, he just looked at me, he's like, do you feel weird? And I'm just like, yeah, this is fucking weird, bro. Like, this is really uncomfortable to be around. And so I think they need to change that. Yeah. I think Calgary needs more representation of people of color. I think there needs to be more representation for hip-hop music. I feel like we don't only have country music to be here. I know it's like our big thing that we do every year, like the city does, but it doesn't have to be just that. We can share. Like when I see Stampede and I see all the music that comes there, I think like T-Pain was there, you know, like a lot of hip-hop artists have like graced that stage.
Yeah.
So why don't we turn that into something more? It doesn't just need to be this country fest. I got a birdie for my birds. Fuck with me, you got some nerve. Hit the coupe and then we swerve. Drive through and then I serve. What up? 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 I got a birdie for my birds. Fuck with me, you